Celtics won in Game 6. It was, I think, the worst Laker loss ever. And now, of course, I've talked to Kobe a lot about this, and Kobe says they were tough, and the Lakers were too nice. But 2 years later, they definitely had toughened up. It didn't hurt that Kendrick Perkins was hurt for the last 2 games of the series. This is another constant source of trash talking between Kobe and I. He can trash talk about anything. He does trash talk about everything. Kobe doesn't like to lose anything, even an argument. My name is Gautam Chopra, and I'm a filmmaker, and I'm currently working on a film with Kobe Bryant, and it's called Kobe Bryant's Muse.
This isn't a film. I want to say something. I have things I want to think about, things I want to dive into and get off my chest. I don't have the patience to sit and write a book, so I'll do it this way.
I grew up in Boston, in a suburb just outside of Cambridge called Lincoln. I can't even, the rage and disgust I felt for Los Angeles. I was very born and bred a Boston kid, so that whole kind of mythology between the blue collar East Coast and the sort of white collar showboating, Showtime Lakers, I was very much a part of that. I think I always, like most fans, had a begrudging respect for Magic Johnson and the whole organization, but in those series it was pure hatred. I remember when Magic Johnson hit the baby sky hook, I cried myself to sleep. I just that was the end of the world.
2 seconds left. The Lakers take the lead on Magic Johnson's running sky hook.
I think one of the things that was unique about my upbringing is I think a lot of people know my dad, Deepak Chopra, as this sort of celebrity and spiritual guru to the stars or whatever now, but he was a normal guy who worked in a hospital and, was pretty upper middle class or however you wanted to define it. So I had a very normal upbringing in that sense. But I'd say in high school, I started to get exposed to more and more celebrities who would come to my dad's sort of health center. And so I got exposure to people like Elizabeth Taylor and Michael Jackson. Right from the start, Michael and I hit it off and got along and became friends. And when I was 17 years old, I went and worked on the Dangerous tour, which was incredible. It was the biggest rock tour of all time. So yeah, it was a party for, being 17 years old and being on the road. And you're treated like royalty, and Michael had police escorts, and you just celebrities and all this stuff. But after every show, which was this crazy show, Michael would go and sit at in the penthouse of whatever beautiful hotel, and the rest of the crew, the dancers and the backup singers and all that, would go out on the town. I'd come back after these nights out, and he'd call me and be like, "Come up and tell me, what's it like?" It was one of the sort of sadder things. He was so isolated by his fame. He was curious about what it was like to go out in the world, but he couldn't do it. And really built, of course, a strong friendship with him. It was tough, definitely, through the years and all the scandals and investigations and all of that sort of stuff. Then when he had his own children and kind of found a new life. And then, of course, a very dark period towards the end of that. For many years, up until just weeks before he died, I was pretty close to him. And I moved out here right after I graduated from college, so this was right around 1999, the Shaq Kobe years. And so it was hard. The Celtics have had a very sort of cursed history in many ways, after the glory years of the 80s, whereas the Lakers sort of became one of the most dominant teams of their era. Look, as an objective basketball fan, watching Shaq and Kobe play together, you realize this is possibly one of the most dominant duos ever to play the game. So yeah, I went to a lot of games and, enjoyed going to those games, no matter who was playing against the Lakers. I rooted against the Lakers and rooted for the other team. I think it was the 2008 finals. I had really good seats, and I was sitting next to Flea. and I was rooting my heart out, like, for the Celtics, of course. I was like within earshot, I think, of the bench, and I was like yelling and I don't even know what I was saying to Phil Jackson, and I swear he could hear me. And at halftime, Flea turned to me and completely, and then, like, I think after the game, somebody told him, like, oh, do you know who Gotham's dad is? I think my dad and Flea had some sort of relationship, from the past. He came over to me and he's like, hey man, I just want to apologize. I was like, it's totally cool. I totally get it. And actually, so he and I have become friends. We spent like a day with Kobe in Brooklyn. But he's so good at social media. Like, he's on it, he's listening, he's hearing, he's using, he's communicating. So.
Oh, a three, good. And the Lakers lead by 2.
The genesis of the Kobe relationship is I met him more socially a couple of years ago, and despite my hatred for the Lakers, I would say over the last few years living in Los Angeles, gained a growing respect and admiration for this guy. You can't help but be here, watch Lakers games, and realize like how great this guy is. I think I met Kobe at a time also where he was starting to think about his life off the court. And like, I think, Kobe's an ambitious guy. So it was, there was no humility in that sense. Not like, yeah, I'm just going to be one of the greatest basketball players of all times and then just sort of retire and quietly do something. No, like whatever he does next, he wants to be as dominant. After he ruptured his Achilles, I texted him and I was like, Kobe, actually, I think this, because almost immediately, as all Lakers fans know, in the locker room, Kobe was like, oh, I'm coming back. And so I thought, like, oh, that comeback, like whatever that is, that's going to be interesting. And this sort of pursuit of greatness that he's obsessed with. So, I just sort of like pitched that to him and he was like, okay. I look back at it now and of course, like getting to know Kobe even more and of course, knowing his history and realizing like, wow, his willingness to sort of let me in and let his team of guys in to start chronicling his life, incredibly trusting. And I've talked about this at length, like with Kobe, like, why'd you let me do this with you? It's because they also felt a sense of comfort. Like, okay, like you get it and you're trustworthy, and if Michael Jackson could trust you, like then I probably can. So I think it's sort of been a two-way street and it's been incredibly fortunate for me.
And what I found through the process is that it became more than a documentary. It became therapy on film.
We started about a year ago, really in earnest, documenting and filming, and not just his rehab but also just riding around with him, talking to him and stuff like that. And yeah, all up until December 8th, I was there like the day before, the day of, like just really talking to him. And that was essentially the story. Like, we're going to chronicle this comeback and then kind of see where it goes. But it went 6 games, and then like he had another injury and all of a sudden it was like, oh, and so immediately it was like, okay, so now what is he going to do? And like, what are we going to do? Like, and our kind is like, well, we do what he does and we track what he does. So it definitely took a turn. The film took a turn as his life took a turn in some ways. His basketball career took a turn in some ways.
There was a kid named Victor. Approached me during lunch and said, I hear you can play basketball and, I'm the man here, so what's on? I was upset that I had moved from Italy, left all my friends. I had all this resentment and anger inside of me that I hadn't really let out. And so I demolished this poor kid. And that feeling of playing with that rage was new to me, but I loved it.
Again, like just as a basketball fan, like to be able to be in a gym with Kobe Bryant, like whether it's at the Toyota Center or down in Orange County where he works out, or even just recently in China. Like, he never misses a workout. And those workouts are like, it's like watching, Picasso in his studio. Like, nobody talks, and you just watch this guy, like, motion after motion after motion, just crushing it. And it's pretty awesome, I will say. Kobe is incredibly complex on one level, but he's also very black and white. As an athlete, as a performer, for him, there is greatness, and I'd say in very specific Laker terms, there's winning championships or there's losing. You sit around with Kobe long enough, like on his helicopter or his plane or in his car, and you hear him. Like, I said to him the other day, we were talking about this film, and he said it can't suck. That was his thing. I was like, yeah, Kobe, it's not gonna suck, but like, it has to be great. Like, it has to be really great. I don't want just like an average film. And he said, yeah, but like, well, if it's not great, it sucks. Like, by definition, success is either winning it all or being the best, or it's a waste of time. And he likes to always say, like, would you bet against me? And I wouldn't.